prices fall as dollar strengthens. I am Leah Katung-Babatunde, welcoming you to this edition of Business Express, coming to you on a network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA. Good morning. President Muhammadu Buhari has declared Nigeria's intention to completely eliminate the use of petrol and diesel generators by the year 2060 as part of its multi-pronged energy transition plan aimed at achieving energy security and net zero emissions. A $10 billion investment, he, however, said is needed per annum towards achieving the objective, and made a strong case for technical and financial support from the United States. This was at a high-level session on supporting conservation, climate adaptation and energy transition as part of U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit in Washington, D.C. The president, who addressed participants in a closed session, takes pride in the fact that Nigeria is the first African country to develop a detailed energy transition towards eliminating energy poverty and climate change, as well as delivering zero emissions by the year 2060. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden of the United States says improving Africa's infrastructure is central to his administration's vision of building a stronger global economy that can better withstand the kind of shocks witnessed in the past few years. Consequently, Biden announced a $350 billion investment package for what he called digital transformation with Africa initiative aimed at ensuring that people across the continent participate actively in digital economy. This was while addressing the US-Africa Business Forum as part of the ongoing Leaders Summit in Washington, D.C. Now, since the Central Bank of Nigeria announced its new policy on cash withdrawal limits and implementation of the cashless policy, there's been reaction after reaction. At Wednesday's plenary, the Senate urged the Central Bank of Nigeria to consider the adjustment of its new cash withdrawal limit.
1 week after the House of Representatives called for the suspension of the new CBN policy on withdrawal limit, The Senate has advised the Apex Bank to adjust the withdrawal limit, which it says it's in the interest of the public. Senate had mandated its Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions to engage the newly reappointed deputy governors of the bank for a comprehensive explanation.
2, that the committee should continue to embark on aggressive oversight of the CBN on its commitment to flexible adjustment of the withdrawal limit and periodically report outcome to the Senate.
But when we are now trying to say we know this policy should not work, when we have not even tried it, it's not the best thing for the country.
But forcing people to do that will just create a situation where our homes, particularly rural dwellers and elders, their pillow cases will become their banks.
So we must support this cashless. How much money is it in the rural areas?
By end of this month, with what they have mocked up, we should see at least a 7 percentage point in inflation rate.
Some of the senators made proposals on the amount to be adjusted.
The threshold should be 500,000 naira, not 100,000. And for withdrawal per daily should be 100,000. They should do 500,000 per day for individual, and they will do 3 million per day for corporates. That will cover any fear of anybody. We have done this in our state. It is true that there are challenges, but we have to make progress because this is the only way to go.
That the Central Bank of Nigeria should considerably adjust the withdrawal limits in response to public outcry on the policy. Those in favor of the say aye, those against say nay, the ayes have it.
Meanwhile, Senate has confirmed the appointment of Aisha Ahmed and Edward Adamu for appointment as deputy governors of the Central Bank of Nigeria for a second and final term. Senate passed for second reading the National Information Technology Development Agency Act Repeal and Reenactment Bill, sponsored by leader of the Senate, Ibrahim Gobir.
There is a bare need to review the act to accommodate contemporary issues that would move the country forward.
The National Information Technology Development Agency was established in 2007 from the National Assembly. Ignatius Nkwo.
Now, today, the 15th of December 2022, is a D-Day the Central Bank of Nigeria officially issues the redesigned Naira notes. As Nigerians eagerly anticipate the new notes, business experts found out just how expectant Abuja residents are. And we started by asking them this very interesting question.
Are you ready to go get the new currency by tomorrow?
I will not fight for it, but I know it will go around. Sure, it will get to us when the time comes. Well, the test of the pudding is the eating. We wouldn't know how it will look like until it comes out. When it comes out, we will pray for the best. We pray for the best for this country.
It's a welcome development. It's a new horizon. It's what Nigeria will be longing for. So we hope to see it come true. It checkmates some circulation of money, and excess circulation of money, so it can curtail some excess spending. So that is what we are looking at.
The new currency, I feel it will bring maybe face value to the currency, another face value to the currency, and it will go a long way. And I've not been privileged to see the new note. I've not seen it. I don't know how it will look like. I only heard that the new note will come on board.
Any monetary policy that will bring about the desired change, good and fine. If it will bring about the desired change, everybody will be happy about it. But if it's not going to bring about the desired change, that will change. I don't know. Maybe it's not worth it. But another thing I have to say, let's believe that it is not for one of those individual pockets of a thing.
You can take a holiday to have a bath. This was part of the closing lines last week on the program when we discussed the Naira redesign along with its implications. Financial security is our focus this morning as the redesigned currency becomes legal tender. Now, here you have it. 200 Naira. And of course, 500 Naira notes. And then The 1,000 naira note, newly minted and freshly out of the vault. Executive Director of Development Specs Academy, Professor Oke Ikechukwu, was with me last week, and I promised to bring him back. And so, in fulfilling the promise, he is back here on set. Professor, you're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you very much. And before you go any further, can I have some of those notes?
Of course, you're going to have them.
No,
from the bag.
This one is close enough.
Okay.
I don't want to go to CBN.
Okay, let's do this.
I'm not returning them. Don't take the risk.
So basically, the official window has opened, and the transfer season will last just 6 weeks. We cannot just say that the NTA will just at least sit and watch by right. So what now should we be looking out for?
Well, more like, what is it that the environment promises?
Okay.
Have we got an increase in the volume or supply of dollars? No. Have we got improved productivity? No. Is it the business of the monetary, policy managers to do what they're doing now? Yes. But are they in control of the environment? No. So there are too many variables and nobody can predict. That's the truth of the matter. Even, I think yesterday, the CBN officially told the banks that we don't have enough forex and that they should try and fund non-oil exports so that they generate foreign exchange. The CBN itself, through its various policies, is also drawing in forex. So you find that anybody who stands and tells you confidently that this is how it will go with the opening of this window is either speculating or being deliberately dishonest. The answer is we do not know. But if you look at the variables on the table, there are people who can engage on this at high volume and change whatever is the intended outcome. And so if I tell you that, oh, this is how I expect it to go, of course it will be speculative, but I won't even bother to do so. There are too many variables on the table that can switch it anyway. The sad thing is that in all of these, the managers of the monetary policy, the CBN, end up not looking as good as they ought to, despite the efforts being made, yes. And sometimes it's hurtful. And I keep citing this example. Supposing I went into the Anchor Borrowers program, collected maybe 50 million from the CBN, set up a farm in KB, and my farm yields fantastically. All I have to do is harvest, recover the money and pay the CBN. Then bandits raid the farm. You see the point? CBN cannot give me security because it's not the job of the CBN. So we find that you have policies that are being damaged by the operating environment, and then you have lower productivity. Okay, let's x-ray it. About 3 issues. Number one, oil production has gone down, and therefore you're not generating enough. In addition, there's bunkering, reducing the overall output. In addition, the remittance from NNPC is dropping. In addition, our consumption patterns focus a lot on input from outside. And then we have a fuel subsidy. All of them are draining dollars. And somebody is asking, why can't the CBN pin down the dollars? The CBN will have to pin down the bandits, pin down bunkering, pin down so many, and that's not its job. We have an economy that's, I don't want to say in shambles, but an economy within which there are too many variables that those who should control are not controlling. And that creates a fiscal climate or if you like, a fiscal ecosystem that's very frightening for any development economist. Yeah.
Okay, great. Now, in the midst of all this, the CBN is saying, let's go cashless. Let's deepen financial inclusion. And while we're doing all this, just last week, we pointed out some of the issues that they will be faced with, and the whole Nigerian climate will be faced with, which is the infrastructure, the backbone to do all that. And while we're doing all this, and then you have rising cases of I have been scammed. Just yesterday we had to refer someone who came calling here that monies were taken out of her account. Yes, and she had called her accounting officer and had not gotten anything even after 3 days. So when you situate this, How dire is this circumstance, and how do individuals, because now the rural areas and banked, where they are having to go cashless, right? How do they protect their transaction platforms?
No, let's begin with coming to the area. Yes, scams are on, and I will try to get around to that. In fact, the specific case which I'll mention, but now I'm in the rural area and I'm running my businesses, and the concern is, no, let me start from cashless. The whole idea of a cashless economy is that transactions are migrated onto virtual platforms, so you don't handle the physical cash. Point number one. Point number two, this goes on in an environment where a lot of people, due to cultural exposure, attitude over time, are used to handling solid cash. So there's, first of all, there's again the problem of convincing them to get on. Third, there's a challenge of technology. I have this device and all my transactions are online. I can be scammed. At the level of self-protection, three things you must do. Number one, physical protection of your phone or whatever device you have. Number two, what do you call it? Protection of the... You use your whatever pin or code you want to use, let it be sophisticated. Some people will just use numbers, but if you use symbols and numbers, it is better. Number three, get the IMEI of your phone. If you buy a phone, you look at the back, there's that very long number. If it's a dual SIM phone, there'll be two of it. You have two of them. If your phone is stolen, you can always use that number once it's switched on. Then you can also locate your phone. You can lock your SIM. Now, for the transactions, the greater protection is that of locking your SIM, because I can get it out of the phone, put it in another phone, and still transact. But putting all of that aside and now going to the rural dwellers, it is education and enlightenment. And I made the point last week that the rural dwellers are not some people who we hear about that they came from the moon. They are our brothers, sisters, cousins, members of extended families. Question: do you send money to them? Yes. Do they also send money to others? Yes. Do they receive payment? So that if you talk about digital financial transaction literacy, most of them stand at 50% minimum. They use it. It's just to now extend it that, look, okay, these and these and these will now become part of what you do. And what I do know from experience is that most of those who do traders and all of that, they are now on that. So to protect themselves then, even in spite of all of this, people with more sophisticated understanding of the digital world can still scam you. They can still have access to what you do. They can still unlock your phone. Even with the CIA, the verdict you get is that there is no foolproof method of protecting yourself. That's why you speak of a hacker and then an ethical hacker. A hacker can get into any system, but for you to be the one countering him, you actually a hacker who has decided not to hack people's things. So that creates for us the clear understanding that the digital environment is not one that's secure for anybody, and therefore at the end of the day, personal attention is needed. Now, for institutions, is a different matter. One of the things most organizations will have to, like when the banking online, well, when the whole banking process got computerized, if you went to the bank to have a transaction, the person looking at the screen will see your total account, will see your total value, and they discover that it became an issue because the teller or cashier there will know how much you have. That became, it was no longer possible after some time. What they'll do is to show whether what you want to withdraw can pass. Now, that's an element at a rudimentary level of what you call network segmentation. Now, for the banks, for all the institutions that do these things now, they have to rev up their network segmentation. They have to rev up the kind of permissions they grant. You have to know that a lot of the free apps we have, practically all of them have malware. They are not free. They have malware. They get in there. They monitor everything you do. Even your withdrawal at ATMs. I don't want to go into that so that people don't get the idea. You take your card to the ATM. You insert it. In 1 minute, you collect your money. Your bank is IBTC. The machine is UBA. How did it happen? Your information travel through cyberspace. And if there's a device, and I know there is, if I am monitoring that place within 100, 200 square meters, meters of, what do you call it? of the listing, I can actually pick that information and work with it.
Okay.
Yes. So in the face of these developments, people have to be more careful, banks need to be more careful, and also there are cases of confirmed collusion. I remember a case, it's still unresolved, in Abia State. I think one of the branches of I'll leave in specific access. Till today, the woman never got her money. And in the end, the person who did it is now in Lagos branch. How can that happen in a bank? And there are many such cases. Kidnap money also moved through banks, etc. So 3 things. The information is there is for the investigative agencies to now collaborate more closely through the reports, because reports of some of these get to the CBN. Between maybe ICPC, EFCC, CBN, there should be greater monitoring at the digital level. And I know that EFCC has very, very effective ICT, capacity in this regard.
So it means that's where we're headed now, greater monitoring.
Greater monitoring and then greater care by individuals. Because at the end of the day, it begins with us that you have a device. Secure that device physically, then secure it by locking it. Then the lock or whatever PIN or code you use should be sophisticated. If, for instance, you want to use 1, 2, 3, 4, which will be foolish to do, you can use 1 hash, all of that. Once you confirm that, it will not be an easy one to break.
Okay, I must sincerely thank you, Professor Oke, for coming on the program. Thank you. Yeah. So oil prices dipped in Asia trade this Thursday as the dollar firmed, while the possibility of further interest rate hikes from global central banks also heightened demand concerns. Brent crude futures fell 64 cents or 0.8% to $82.06 per barrel, while U.S. crude futures slid 74 cents or 1% to $76.54. Both contracts fell as the dollar gained. A stronger dollar weakens oil demand as it makes the commodity more expensive for those holding other currencies. We now see the price of other commodities on the global commodities market. And before we go, a look at the official exchange rate of the Naira. And we come to the end of the program for now. Remember to send in your comments, observations, and suggestions. Also be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTA's channel. You can also communicate with us via our various social media platforms. Business Express returns Friday at 3 p.m. My name is Leah Katimbabatunde, saying enjoy spending your new Naira notes while we promise to bring you up to speed with the security features that will be made public anytime soon. Have a nice day and God bless Nigeria.